Bank of Japan has decided to keep their monetary policy unchanged, which means in the short term they are likely to follow an extremely accommodative monetary policy. They've not changed their big plan to consider a buyback program. That number has not changed. They've retained plan for yen 60 to 70 trillion dollars in annual rise in the monetary base, which means they are looking at pumping more money in the US economy. Mitul Kotecha, Global Head Forex Strategy with Credit Agricole, joins us live from Hong Kong. Mitul, nothing new has come from Bank of Japan, but do you think today's BoJ meeting was largely discounted?
I do. I don't think there was any surprise from today. No one had expected any change in policy. And overall, as you say, the policy remains very accommodative. The idea is to get inflation back up to 2% as a target and continue with policies that will achieve that, including a weaker Japanese yen.
Mitul, do you think most markets are now just about pointing towards the Fed and waiting for what the Fed does in terms of a cue on how equities as well as currencies are going to pan out?
I think that's right. The overall environment as we go into sort of the tail end of this week is positive in terms of risk sentiment. But there is, today, for instance, several central bank decisions. Markets will look, of course, continue to look for clues on tapering in the U.S. We will get a big clue on Friday with the non-farm payrolls data, and I think that will help give more direction to currencies and markets in general in coming days and weeks. Of course, the other issue is Syria and the potential military strike there, which also will hold markets hostage to developments in the U.S. Congress and approval of the administration's attempts to move forward with a limited strike.
Mitul, the Japanese economy is yet to recover, and some experts are of the view that rather than retaining their bond buyback program, Bank of Japan should have increased the quantum, but they've not decided to increase the quantum. Is that the right way?
Well, I think what we are seeing is some success on the monetary policy front. Inflation is edging higher, and growth is picking up. However, in our view, in order to sustain the upward momentum in inflation in Japan, we may need to see more aggressive monetary policy steps, more aggressive buying of JGBs and other assets, rinban operations, for instance, in Japan, and perhaps even more aggressive buying of overseas assets by the Japanese Bank of Japan. So, I think we will see more steps in the months ahead. I don't think that this so far is the end of the policy, because I think the risk is that inflation may not be sustained if there isn't other steps implemented, including, as I said, a further weakening of the Japanese yen.
Okay, Mitul, let's also talk about rupee. Do you think closer to 67 or 68 rupee has a durable trading bottom in place against the dollar?
I'm not sure about durable. I think in the near term, I think we will see dollar rupee consolidate around current levels. I would imagine a broader range of 65 to 70 is where the Indian rupee will trade against the dollar in coming weeks. But I think we need to see more concrete steps in terms of reforms before we see some more sustained stability in the currency. Also, we need to see more improvement in the external environment. At the moment, U.S. tapering concerns, higher U.S. yields are resulting in continued capital outflows from India, and that is still putting downward pressure on the currency.
Mitul, since we've got you on the line with us, what's the global reaction to Raghuram Rajan taking over as the central banker? Because the markets here seem a little more hopeful in terms of what he's going to do, although he's categorically said that he doesn't have a magic wand. He's got a tough task ahead of him, a slowing economy, volatile currency. But what's the opinion? Do you think he could bring about some stability, at least to the economy, inflation, and try and bring down the currency volatility?
Well, I think he's well regarded, and in that sense, he's certainly got a good start. The comments that he's issued so far have been positive, so I think he will help to reduce the volatility in the currency. Some of it, of course, is out of his hands. There's only a certain amount the RBI can do, but I do think at the moment he will help to help support the currency over the coming weeks.
Right. But we'll appreciate your time and thank you for joining us.